on multiple time frames and tried to overlap them together. And yeah, I think you did a fine enough job. So yeah, rinse and repeat for the next 25 years, and you'll be fine, eh? So good job on that fractal post. I just want to be clear on the difference. Life is good. Life is beautiful. Oh, you gotta give it what you own. Life is good. Life is beautiful. See, you gotta give it all you got. Gotta. Boom! So hey, welcome to Forex.Today. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. The past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. But please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Hello, my name is Wayne. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. One interesting thing about us as a broker to foreign exchange traders is that the first thing when you're setting up your account, we say, hey, what kind of account would you like? Yeah. What? What do you mean? Well, we can fix the spread so you always know what the spread's going to be. That is very good if you're doing things like trading the news, for example. Because very often if the interbank system freezes up at volatile times, spreads will widen. So if you trade the news a lot, well, you don't want spreads that widen. You want to have them fixed. If you sort of, sometimes you scalp and sometimes you spot, you're kind of like a day trader, then, and you have just sort of lots of little trades going on, what you probably want is a variable spread that sometimes is narrower than a fixed spread and will sometimes widen more with the news, but generally on each small trade, you're probably going to save a little bit of money, but it will widen as the normal interbank system widens and contracts during high volatility or higher risk moments, or just as volume and volatility changes throughout the day. But most of the time, you could get a little bit less than the fixed, which is nice, right? So you can do it that way, or you can have us enter your trades directly into the interbanking system, otherwise known as an ECN model. And that's pretty cool. And the way that we do that, instead of adding a little bit to the spread, which is normal for our business, right? Then there's just you pay a small commission instead. So that's really good if you're trading big volume numbers, higher lot sizes and stuff like that. And we simply pass your trade directly into the interbanking system, so it's a commission versus a spread markup. And maybe in your part of the world that's better for taxation reasons, or maybe your lot sizes are huge and that might actually save you some money. So whatever you want, we could set up the account your way. It's right, your way at TradersWay with TraderWay. So swing on by. Hey, we do the strategy session 7:30 in the morning every single day here at Forex.Today, Monday through Thursday at Forex.Today. And then every Friday, I do premium webinars. They are paid webinars at FX Street. And of course, I do non-farm payrolls live, which I've done for over 10 years. So I've been around for a while. At their website, I've been awarded a few things like best educational webinar, best special event, best Forex blog, and so on and so forth. And right now I am the Forex Speaker of the Year at FX Street. So thank you for that and all the loyalty that you show to me every day. I really do appreciate that. Abigail says, hey, Wayne, is the swap same on the same and carry on all of those? I don't know. Take a look, read the documentation, or feel free to contact through like live chat and stuff our support desk at TradersWay.com, and I think you'll find that they're very quick to respond and very, very polite and get you the information you need and explain it in clear ways. Has anyone actually contacted support at TradersWay from the clients that have told me about their experience with support? It's been very, very good. So that's nice. Yeah, Ron says yes, they're fast and very helpful. Cool. That's really nice, right? Right on. So let's see. We did the disclaimer. We did the video. We did life is good. I hope you guys like the positive affirmation every day now with the new video. All in favor, say aye. Life is good. Life is grand. Life is good. Life is beautiful. Oh, you gotta give it all you got. Gotta give it all you get. Yeah, right? Yeah, isn't that nice? All right, so what's going on in the world today? Something right in the world today. Okay, we're going to start. Well, first of all, did you scalp gold and oil on the open? Right, well, that's up to you. And then second of all, now we look at, we got a lot of news at 8:30 regarding the United States stuff, and it's more academic, the import price, export price, all these different things. Yeah, that's really good, especially if you're looking at GDP, because you need to do the X minus M calculations for your GDP. Yeah, Zelda. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I downloaded and stuff, but there were some issues, and yeah, but now the issues are fixed. So yeah. Okay. So anyways, that's really good for academic stuff. But what people are going to pay attention to is the 10 o'clock news for Bank of Canada. And so I challenged you on Monday to think about front running that on Monday or Tuesday. Did anybody actually do that? Oh, my love. Oh, my darling. I hunger for. All right, here we go. So, seems to me the world, so we talked about on Monday, so this is New York Monday. You know what? Let's throw that in there. Hang on with it. Is it this one? Nope. Life is good. Life is beautiful. Gotta give it. No, that's not the one I want either. I don't remember this fundamental. No. Fractal Stokes day trading. Try that one. No. Okay. Oh, did I ever show you this? I think I did. I'm looking for the template that has the time frames. You see these little dark areas? That's where the 15-minute, 30-minute, and 1 hour stochastics are all oversold at the same time. There's your fractal, Miles. So right here, all three time frames were oversold. Huh! Yeah, interesting. Hang on. I didn't think this was going to be a big deal, but apparently it is. Which one do I have? All the different time frames. Pivot clusters? No? Did I delete it by accident? Daily pivots with fibs? No. Oops. Did I delete it? Oh my gosh, did I really? No. Day trading. I think I did that one, right? And then pivots. Day trading. Okay, and then now pivots. Oh, here we go. That one's got it. All right. Got one in there. So, Wednesday, Tuesday. All right. So let's get rid of that so we can see. So we talked on Monday that there could be a potential to front run any particular news that could or will, or, because we know the Bank of Canada is going to release information. We just don't know what their statement is or if they'll make a policy change. Right? But we know there's an event. It's called an event-driven strategy, so you can front run it. It's almost like merger arbitrage, right? It's an event-driven strategy. So here we are in New York on Monday saying, hey, have you thought about, trading this into Wednesday's news? Well, notice that at that time we were at weekly R1, and as you probably saw just above this, there's a monthly pivot. So we got dual or double, or as double, or doppio, as they say in Italian, right? Double, doppio, levels of resistance. And then Tokyo brings it down. Fibonacci retracement, 1, 2, 3 pattern. London brings it down. Fibonacci retracement. New York brings it down again into the weekly central. Hey, are we playing weekly pivots here? Could be a rabbit, could be. Asia brings it up. This is where fractal geometry comes in again, Miles, since Miles is interested in this. Now it's a Fibonacci retracement just on a higher time frame. Right? Because if you're looking at it from on high, like, from looking down from Mount Olympus, you're not going to see all these little pullbacks, especially even the smaller micro pullbacks, right? In your godlike trading fashion, it's just, you simply see the basic pattern here of the whole thing is a retracement of a thing, right? So anyways, now the news is coming out, and this is likely to freeze because it's all been played. Because you should, if you're, let's say you're long, well, no, let's do short first. If you're short, you're either short here or you're short here. What? Why would you have shorted today? Okay, you see? Now it's easy, right? Right? So you're short either at the 618 Fibonacci retracement of the drop, or you're short at the top where we talked about on Monday. And then you keep it, you keep your stop close to break even and you just let it run. Right? Miles says, now it's late. Well, yeah, that's why we talked about it on Monday. Then I said you should either do it Monday or Tuesday. Okay, but anyway, so yeah. Now, what's a bull going to do? Well, a bull's going to be interested at the weekly central. Okay? And a bull will probably 1, 2, 3 this sucker now. Right? And what do they think? What's their plan? Their plan would be to bring it up, correct? Now this is dangerous because it's a fib war. So the other way to play this now is play it like a range in here and let it break. Right? Well, Cameron is on his way to Buckingham Palace to say, I quit. Hey, Liz, I quit. Take this job and shove it. Boy, what an interesting, odd thing, huh? Now what? I guess you got to do a book deal, right? Yeah, so now, Miles, if you trade now, you're probably monkey in the middle, or just at least trade one of the strategies. right? You're either a bull and you're going to, on very small time frames, participate in driving this up, right? Or you're a bear. So let's do this in a different color. Let's just do blue. Okay. Okay. Or you're going to wait for a break. Let's once again do a different color. And you're going to do this or this. Okay? Doing something in the middle is just ridiculous. A buffoon. It just screams, hey, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm going to throw money at it anyways, right? So anyways, we got news coming out today, and it's going to move the market. And that's why you had an opportunity to front run it. And now, what's the Bank of Canada going to say? You know what? I don't know. But there is a rate decision. There is a press conference. Okay? Why would I short a raising currency USD CAD? Oh, it would be your fundamental bias, Greg. Okay. Also, maybe so you're saying the trend for USD CAD is up, 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 right? That on the long term, this is going to go up. US dollar is going to get stronger. Canadian dollar is going to get weaker. Is that generally it, Greg? Yeah. Your time frame is different than this. So another way of looking at it is traders are getting out of the market because of the news on Wednesday. And they start on Monday and really Tuesday morning, right? They say, all right, we're way up here at weekly resistance. Now, that is not a coincidence. And they say, hey, well, you know, it's Tuesday morning. On Wednesday morning, so like tomorrow, we got this big risk event. We don't really know what the Bank of Canada is going to do. So why don't we take our profit? Or let's take some risk off the table. And they thin the herd a little bit on their portfolio. All right? And it comes down. So you could say it's not really traders shorting. Let's say not big traders, but that's where day traders can get involved, right? Okay, you see what I mean? And then why did it bounce here at the weekly central? Once again, that's not a coincidence. For those on the higher time frame, perhaps like yourself, you're going to say, "Oh, that's a buying opportunity," right? Because where do bulls buy? What's the buy zone using weekly pivots? Don't say support. Don't say. Give me numbers, guys. Be specific. M2 to weekly central. That's your buy zone for a bull. Okay? You got it? What's the target? M4. Thank you, guys. Oops. So once again, just very basic analysis. If you're a bull, okay, you're thinking that. And by the way, if you kick off the weekly central, that's aggressive. Your target is actually W2. WR2, sorry. And your real plan is this, this. So now you buy, big retracement on a roll. Come on. Okay, fib retracement off a roll reversal. And because it's the weekly central in play, your target is right there. That's the general plan of attack. Now, could this be altered by less than stellar, let's say less than dovish sentiment out of the Bank of Canada? Yeah. Bank of Canada can ruin this, right? But that is the general plan for a bull. Okay? And once again, that's why I say you need to know what you are. Someone might take some money off the table going into the news, right? And someone else, it's a good opportunity to get in and assume the risk. Because that's really what happens, with money and trading and stuff, and banking and finance in general. We trade risk for opportunity, don't we? So someone is getting out, giving you the ability to scalp short, and then there might even be the same guy gets back in here and says, well, I've taken this much off the table. That's booked. It's in the bank. It's profit. But I'm going to buy back in, right? And now this level of cushion could be the new break even, which puts their stop down here, and they're trading the bank's profit on the previous trade, right? So if they lose money here because the USD CAD comes down, it offsets the profit here, and basically they had two opportunities and it didn't cost them anything, right? So that's why, Greg, it's just different time frames, all right? But if you're trading, let's say day trading, and you're using 5-minute and 15-minute charts, okay, lots of opportunities to sell this, right? All right, clear resistance, right? I mean, I don't think it gets any clearer than this. Weekly R1, it moves sideways on a 5-minute chart for 12 hours, right? And then what? Lower low. Oops, come on, drawing tool. Lower low. So how do I teach you to trade that? Okay, it makes a lower low. You drag this across, old support becomes resistance, right? Or fib it, whatever, but using price action, that's the basic one, right? So on and so forth. Okay. And then it reverses that whole process on the new day, and then it gets into the other fib. Right? Okay. Well, Smith, I talked about this yesterday, that that correlation is likely to break because the fundamentals are different right now, right? And so if you're going to trade based on a return to commodities, you should probably consider Aussie. Okay. But that's so yesterday. Life is grand, life is good. Life is beautiful. Gotta give it what you gotta give it good to get. Do, 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 do. Okay, there's your kitty cat yen. There's your oil. They kind of look similar, don't they? Yep. So if you were a bear on Monday, what you were looking for is to sell in here on Monday. If you were a bear. And once that broke, guess what happens? You say, oh, no trade for me this week. Okay. Or you can become a bull, but I don't like doing that. So you got to just pick a team, right? Life is beautiful. Ooh. Okay. If you're a bear, if you're a bull, and if you're a bull. Okay. M2 is a buy on Monday morning. M3 is a sell on Monday morning. M2 is a buy on Monday morning. Isn't that neat? Now the problem is M4 is way up here, but because of Brexit, that's just too far away. But it did go up as it was supposed to. It did top out at the weekly central. If you sell at M3, your target is M1, and this is M1 right here. Not bad, right? It's not perfect. It went 20 cents lower. It's not perfect. Wayne, that ain't perfect. Oh, I know, dude. You just have to relax, right? And then M2 predicts M4, which is here. I know it's not perfect, but it's, 40 or 50 cents accurate so far. How do you learn about pivot points, books, webinars? Paul, if you come here every day, I'll teach you every day if you'd like. Would you do that, Paul? Is anybody here fairly new? So, if so, my goal is that you and I are going to become best friends, best buddies, besties. And I'll be here every single day, day after day after day after day. I generally don't take days off. If I do travel, I generally bring my laptop with me and do my analysis. I have to do my analysis anyway, so I'll share it with you guys. And even if I'm sick, I do these webinars. So, anyways, the best thing to do is just ask questions and be persistent and interactive. And I never show up at the PowerPoint presentation, force down thoughts down your throat, right? So if you ask questions, I will respond to your concerns and your needs. Ripper. Thank you, Paulie. Down under, eh? Whereabouts? Sydney, huh? Right on. Well, maybe someday I'll drop by. All right. So, anyways, that's that. Now, by the way, going back to the pivots, does that shock you? Like things like crude oil trades exactly on the pivot point theory? Like, do you look at that, or I guess I'm sorry, I showed you CAD yen, but I guess it's the same thing. Does it just like blow you away? Like, oh well, that's what's in Wayne's book. He says buy it at M2, sell it at M3, and oh snap, right? Oscar, you're just going to have to wait, right? But once again, trading it now is really super slow. The election was on the weekend. We talked about it on Monday, and we were at 102 on Monday. Now it's 105. It's just like, why now, right? Why 72 hours after the fact, right? Miles, I don't think that's true. I what the hell is his name? I've met a guy 2 or 3 times over the years at various conferences. What's that guy's name? And he's written in a couple of books on pivot points. Person, yeah, there you go. Yeah, he goes right. So he's written like big, thick books, but I don't think he does anything different than me, does he? No. But he has a 900-page book that tells you the same thing. Buy it at M2, sell it at M3. Right, 900 pages? What the hell's in there? Nothing. So anyways, I'll tell you for free, don't worry about it. And I'm self-taught, so I haven't ripped anybody off. Right. So, yeah. In fact, the first book I ever bought on Forex was about pivot points from some Canadian that was selling some sort of course somewhere. It was one of these things like, you pay $1,000 and he'll teach you everything, right? It might have been even more than that. So, you know, I paid the $20 and got a copy on eBay back when eBay would sell you fake copies and stuff. And I'm really glad I did because it was nonsense. First of all, he didn't tell you what pivot points were, but he just had the magic formula. And he gave a theory, and then he said, well, but pivot points are like flying airplanes. So if you start trading his strategy, his theory, and it didn't work and you were losing money, well, it was like flying an airplane. You could just fly it upside down and just do the opposite. What? Yeah, if you're just losing tons of money, just do the opposite. What the hell kind of strategy is that? Yeah, well, if buying doesn't work, just sell. Just sell, dude. It'll work out. You crash that way, of course, right, Greg? That's how you hit the ground. What kind of strategy says, you know, buy, 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 buy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like, at what point do you reverse? Probably right about here, right? So, anyways, it was really dumb and really stupid. And he didn't tell you what pivot points were, like how to calculate them. They were just magic numbers. And if you paid the money every Monday, he'd give you the magic numbers, right? And every morning and every Monday. So I'm like, well, that's stupid. But I see something is going on with these patterns. So I just simply sat down and, take notes and observe. And I went through years of pivot points until I say, hey, very often, you sell here, and then very often this is the target. So then I really got into, when I started pivot points, people didn't even use the M areas. They didn't use the M pivots at all. It was just S and R pivots along with the weekly central, right? Or daily central. Nobody used the M's. And I started to see this relationship with the M's. In particular, I started to find the vast majority of the time, this area here or this area here provided the top or the bottom. And so therefore, I wanted these to be colored, and and this was, and all of a sudden I started calling them pivot profit zones, which I made up. So if you've ever heard it somewhere else, I made all that up. I remember because I was there when I made it up. I'm like, wow. After observing hundreds of years or thousands of weeks of pivot points, this is where I would like to take profit. Not get in, but take profit, right? So on and so forth. No. M's are not monthly. What I mean is the M pivots are the pivots between the support and resistant pivots. They're midpoint pivots. So the way that the formulation works is if you have, let's say this is, let's say that dark area is R2. Okay, we know that's resistance. And then let's say this next pivot in here is R1, right? Then we know the next pivot down here is the central, right? Central PP, right? You following me? And then it turns out if you look at the distance between R2 and R1, let's say it's 50 pips, then a M pivot, not this monthly one, but you see how it's monthly M3? I'm talking about the M3, not the monthly part, just the M3. So anyways, if this was R1, R2, yeah, so that would be, no, this would be M4 in that case. So this M4 is exactly 25 pips from R1 and 25 pips below R2. So it looks at the difference, right? Adds up the range, divides by 2, and it's a midpoint pivot. And the M4 is simply halfway between R1 and R2. Now, R1 and R2 are calculated off of the central pivot point, which is the previous period's high plus low plus close divided by 3 gets you the central pivot. And then once you get the central pivot, you do some other calculations to get the R1 and R2. And once you have R1 and R2, you take the distance between those and divide that by 2, and you get the new midpoint for M4, right? And then halfway between R1 and central pivot point, right? Divide that by 2, and now you have your M3, which is halfway between the central and R1. Okay? Too much information? And then the beauty of pivot points is this: H plus L plus C. So C is the close of the previous period, which includes market sentiment into the pivot points. So the central pivot point is a weighted average. It's not high plus low divided by 2. That would be the average. High, low, and close is a weighted average. So if last week was started bullish and then ended bullish, the new pivot's going to rise a lot. If the market started bullish but ended bearish, which can happen, then the central pivot might not rise at all, or it may even fall depending on how low it actually closes. Because at the end of the week, it wasn't bullish anymore, it was bearish. Okay? That's all. Yeah. So, well, you know what? The next opportunity to get this type of stuff in great detail from me is I'll be in Johannesburg in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So, come to Joe Town, and I'll teach you. Okay? Yeah, fly to Africa. So, anyways, it's all this stuff I just figured out. And you know you think it's silly, and maybe I'm just arrogant, but you know everybody does it now, right? But when very few people used pivot points when I started. And to give an example of it, when I used GFT, when GFT was in the United States, they were my broker for a long time, and in fact, I started trading so much money with them. I had my own dealing desk. No joke. We had an employee sitting at a dealing desk just clearing my trades, and it had its own rules and regulations. And even the NFA flew out to the GFT headquarters, sat down, interviewed the management and the person on the dealing desk, and reviewed our procedures to clear my trades. And some of the changes they added were like to have the actual procedure, if they had trouble clearing my trades, that there had to be rules, regulations, and procedures in place in which to contact me. Which phone number do they call first? Which one do they call second? Right? So anyways, back in the day, they suddenly had a lot of people requesting pivot points, probably because I was teaching it even back then, and that they didn't know what it was, but they wanted it on the platform, and they wanted to know if they could use my code, since I had custom developed code to integrate into their GFT platform, the deal book. And so GFT customers actually were using my custom code, and it was deployed in the upgraded version of the Dealbook 360. Or I don't even know if 360 was out. The Dealbook 2, I think it was called back then. And I just gave it to them, no charge. There you go. Help the world out. I also did this huge long presentation. I think I was at the FXCM Expo back in 2005. And I did this huge presentation on pivot points, blew everybody away. The fire marshal actually had to come in and clear the room because there was too many people in my presentation. And then turns out FXCM didn't have pivot points, and everybody was just flabbergasted. So, yeah. So if you see someone else doing something similar, I've been here for so long that I don't know where else they would have got this information. But I remember studying for thousands of hours over thousands of days and weeks, trying to figure these things out. And so if you see different similar strategies or even similar terminology, it's because I did all of that on my own. There's, am I being arrogant? I hope not. I hope what it does is say, man, I need to do that type of analysis too. Right? Or at the very least, if you were a bull on CAD yen, why did you miss this? Like, that's just stupid easy, right? 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 If you were a bull on CAD yen and you saw this on Monday morning at M2, you're supposed to just buy it. I mean, right? And if you didn't, then you need to then say, why didn't I? What am I going to do next Monday? And I just want you to go, you just got to get, I want to motivate you to want to do more, right? To be involved more, to be proactive more, not reactive. Not reactive, right? Right? Don't be reactive. You know who's reactive? Amateurs. You want to be a professional? Be proactive, be involved, right? Are you going to read the Bank of Canada statement today, or are you just going to listen to Bloomberg or CNBC, or just wait till I tell you? Right? Were you going to be there, and are you going to read it? And be excited for it, right? Got to be involved, proactive. Okay? Another thing coming out today that I'd like to highlight, which most people will ignore, is the Fed's Beige Book. The Beige Book is the only report, well, I shouldn't say that. The only report used by the FOMC. So I believe the three books they have are the Beige Book, the Green Book, and the Blue Book. The Beige Book is released. Okay, and it's a summary of all 12 districts. And so, right, so there's a Fed here in Atlanta. They're interviewing businesses in the Southeast. And they're trying to gather forward-looking data, not just backward-looking statistics, which they already have. But right, but the head of each district Fed sits down with local business leaders and then asks them forward guidance type information. And then that gets compiled in a book with a beige cover and then is distributed to the members of the FOMC, voting and non-voting, so that they have a sense of what's going on around the country. So it's 12 reports compiled together in an aggregate. Greg says most that use pivot points don't use M pivots. Well, there you go, right? So I'll rock your world. I'll rock your world. Oh, yeah. They're important in my humble opinion. Okay. So beige book could be something that you look into, get your hands on. And just imagine, that's the book the Fed actually reads. If you were a member of the FOMC, you read that book. So you can have the exact same information in your hands that the members of the Fed have. Now that's transparency, huh? So today we got a new prime minister in the UK. Tomorrow we're going to have Mark Carney come out again and tell us how the UK is doing and maybe cutting interest rates, maybe announcing a new program, right? So hang on to your pound, baby. Hang on to your pound. And Mark Carney's been out there a lot in the last week or so since Brexit. He does a good job, doesn't he? In my opinion, he's probably the best spoken central banker that we have around. And I think it's an amazing story. I can't wait to read about his memoir. But think about it. I don't even know where he grew up, but just imagine he was a boy somewhere in Canada saying, hey, this economic stuff's pretty fascinating. I think I'll get into that a little more. Right? Yeah, I probably am biased, right? But I think it is fascinating, though, that one day you grow up and you're like, I want to be a central banker. And you work your way through, and all of a sudden one day you're running the Bank of Canada. And you're like, wow, I want to be prudent. I want to run Canada right. And, you regulate banking and finance and money supply, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, you're as powerful, maybe more powerful than the leaders of the government, like the Prime Minister of Canada, for example, because you're actually running the whole economy, directly and indirectly. Wow, you're like, this is pretty neat, but I want to do a good job. And then right in the middle of your tenure, the entire financial system globally collapses. And what happens to Canada? Nothing. You're like, wow, these policies actually worked. I'm glad I was prudent. I'm glad I maintained Canadian conservatism. That there wasn't a big collapse and there wasn't a need for bailout. All that kind of stuff. You're like, wow, this is pretty cool. I feel vindicated. This was, and then someone rings you on your phone and you pick it up. Carney, eh? Hello. How would you like to be the head of the Bank of England? Say what? Right? Right? Good show, chop. Right? All of a sudden you're like, what? Yeah, this is the Bank of England. We want a Canadian to run the Bank of England, one of the oldest financial institutions in the history of mankind. Really? That's, to me, I don't know. I think that's an amazing story that a Canadian's running the Bank of England. It's almost insane to think that would be, right? So one day I'd like to read a story. I'd like to, where did he go to school? And who was his mentor? And, all that kind of stuff. Good for him. Okay, you ready? We got news any second. Life is grand, life is great, life is good. Life is beautiful. All right, import stock. 0.2, lower than expected. Worse year over year. Wow, that's no good. A little bit disappointing for the buck, eh? So let's move over to something else. Nothing dramatic here. Nice play off the weekly, but again, we're caught in the middle, right? Gotta give it all you got. Gotta go to get, go to give. Yeah, this is a little messy, huh? Feel so confused. I feel so confused. What's going on? That's what it looks like, right? I'm so confused. Oh, well. Hedge it, baby. Let's go Kiwi. James, right? I'm so confused. I don't know where I am sometimes, right? Bu- 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 bu. Yep. Little bit of consolidation going on, right? And I'm going to trap this because if it starts to drop, then that's not good for anybody. A little bit of divergence going on too. Do, do, do. Gotta give it all you go. Go to give. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. So if I zoom in a little more, maybe drop into a smaller time frame, clean up my chart. Seems like we got a lot going on up here, right? Doesn't that feel about right? Yeah, James. Yeah. Going back to that Aussie dollar trade. Yeah, what do you got to do? Sometimes you got to work your way out of a mess, right? Yeah, I'd like to tell you I'm a perfect trader, but there's no way that that's true. So sometimes you got to work your way out of a mess the best you can. What can I say? So anyways, the news wasn't good, but of course everything is about 10 o'clock. So do you want to review a bank trade? And if so, do you want to see a winning bank trade or a losing bank trade? Fred, both. Losing, huh? Well, I got 2 losings. Anybody else? Michael wants me to do Mexican peso. I don't do that in the middle of the month, Michael. I do it at the end of the month. Rob wants a winner. Both. All right. Well, let me pick one. Morgan Stanley made 181 pips on the euro pound long. It's funny. I was short euro pound and made 200 pips, and they made 200 pips. So, very interesting. What was it, euro pound? Right. On Friday, I was short euro pound, and someone's like, "You said you never trade euro pound." I'm like, "That's right." But you're trading euro pound. Like, that's right. And I made 200 pips. So, shut up. Yeah, I don't like trading euro pound. So, but what do you do when it's at resistance? Okay. So, anyways, Morgan Stanley longed from 81.19. Life is great, life is grand, life is good. All right. 81.19. Long. Boom. So let's try to figure that out. Okay, so it looks like they got in, break, pullback. Can you see that? And we're just barely squeezing it in here. It seems like they would have done something like this. They bought the dip, right? Okay, and they were stopped out, which means they moved their stop along as it went up, and they got out at exactly 8,300. So that means their oot for profit was at just this dip here, right? They just got out right there. So they left 300 pips on the table. Ah, that's the best part, because that's where I sold. Oh, snap. So I took 200 pips from Morgan Stanley's profit. Boom, 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 boom. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's the part I love. How interesting is that? Because cool. There you go. But don't cry for them, Argentina. They made 181 pips profit. Just the price action. Top, 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 lower, low, lower, high. I covered it at the premium webinar on Friday at FX Street. Right? And oops. All right. Well, forget it. All right. So there's one. And then how about a loser? Loser. Do you like BNP Paribas or Credit Suisse? Which one do you want to see a loser? Paribas, Credit Suisse, BNP. Two BNPs. Paribas. All right. All right. BNP Paribas stopped out. All right. So they short. I don't want to do that. It's an Aussie dollar, and I got my ugly trades going there. All right. So what did Credit Suisse do? Pound dollar. I got some pound messes going on too. All right. Hang on. Credit Suisse. All right. We got a euro yen failure. All right. Let's do euro yen. Euro yen. All right, so where did it go? Euro yen. Credit Suisse shorted 1425. So let's look at it here. 1425. They shorted. It's not quite a. Maybe it was. One 4 point. Is it 2.5? Credit Suisse 2.5. Yeah. Okay. And maybe last week. Let me get some more details on this one. Credit Suisse notes that euro yen is consolidating in a near-term range now, but whilst still capped beneath 1430. The immediate risk can stay lower for now. Support shows at 1138 with a break beneath 110.62 needed to see a retest of the neckline to the 2011-2012 base at 109.55. An extension through the latter is needed to trigger further selling from 107.98, then 106.02, and then 105.98, the 786 retracement of the 2012-2014 bull market. So do you write stuff like that down, guys? Every time you place a trade, are you documenting it on Forex.Today? If the answer is no, you will not be hired by a professional trading firm. You cannot, for example, trade for Credit Suisse. Did that just slap you in the face? Are you acting right? Are you acting like an amateur? All of that was written for one trade plan. Okay? You understand? So all of that was dipped in there. So anyways, they actually did this. They entered about last month, I guess. Wow, June 28th. June 28th. Oh, okay. So look, they did an all right job here. So here's what they did, because it goes back to the Brexit, right? And then right here is where they shorted. Not bad, right? What'd you say? How would you feel about this technically? How would you judge Credit Suisse on this one so far, just based on the short zone? Okay, they literally right in here on that first touch. That seems like a reasonable retracement, right? Okay, so their target was 1035, 110.35. Oh, too bad for them. 110.35 is probably about here. Oh, no, that's 65. Just low. Oh, there it is. It was this. S2. Let's see how close that number is. Well, no, that's not quite right. It's close. That's 110. And they were going for 110.35, which just simply might be, you know, almost that area. So let me adjust it exactly, just so we can see it. Okay. Oh, okay. And I think they screwed up here then because they didn't move their stop to break even. Okay, so we can learn from this. Nice entry, nice target. They should have played the conservative target, not the aggressive. So I think what they did here, guys, is said, get out just before S2, right? They were not playing the M1, which I teach. So someone said here earlier, most people don't use the M pivots, right? But I've been teaching M pivots for 10 years now, and maybe it's because I observed this. Now, let me ask you something. Did the market play the M1 or did they play the S2? Credit Suisse was playing the S2. I teach M1 as the conservative entry, or sorry, profit zone, right? Now you see why my observations have led me to my conclusions. Right? This group, if we use, you know, that methodology, we're smarter than Credit Suisse. Woohoo! So it took 200 pips away from Morgan Stanley, and here we are. If Credit Suisse only knew how to trade pivot points better, they would have made money. But unfortunately, they lost money. They got knocked out at 1560. Wah, wah, wah. So let's add that now. These exercises are fun because I always feel like, you know, I need to call Credit Suisse and say, dude, seriously? Here, let me stop by. I'll be in Zurich. Let me take over your trading floor. Oh, snap! All right, 1560. Does that seem to be a pivot point? Does that seem to be R2? So their target was S2, right? Their target was S2, their stop was R2. Huh. What do you think, guys? Does Credit Suisse use weekly pivot points? Greg says maybe. Well, I can tell you, my opinion. I think they use S1, S2, central pivot point, R1, R2. I think that's all they use. So I would say yes, they use the pivot points, but no, they do not use the M's, which we talked about, the midpoints. And they suck at managing their stop. How could you lose money on this trade when you were down here? How could you leave your stop way up here? At the bare minimum, you would be at break even, wouldn't you? Or at the bare minimum, maybe your stop's here because of this, right? But you lose 135 pips because you didn't manage your risk properly? That's just stupid. Fired, right? So I get their technical analysis. It wasn't a bad trade. Just piss poor risk management. So anyways, there's one winner. Credit Suisse had a winner, turned it into a loser. And Morgan Stanley was up 600 pips, or let's say 500 pips, and only walked away with 181. So let's say, how did they do? These professional bankers, these gods up on high looking down from Mount Olympus. We are professional bankers. Well, one of them left 200 pips on the table minimum. And the other one was up 300 pips and lost 150. This is our competition, guys. We can beat them. We can be better. You can be an inspiration to the bankers. But they're not going to hire you if you don't have trade plans, if you don't do your analysis, if you don't write things down, right? So stop acting like an amateur. Let's get serious. Who's with me? Then I want to see you post a trade plan today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. You should do it soon, like now. Okay? Hoorah! Right, James? Yeah. You know, one or two people are having trouble posting, and then everyone else is fine. So we're a little bit dumbfounded on why like two people can't post an image. It's a little bit, but all right. So anyways, and then again, thank you to Miles for making his nice post on his fractal plan. Look what Miles did. Look at that. Excellent. I'm going to thumb that up, Miles. How, right? Excellent job. I shared my feedback in today's live webinar. Boom. Ciao. Okay. So anyways, yeah, so guys, get involved. Start acting like a professional if you want to be a professional. What are you waiting for, right? You need to build a track record of success 2 or 3 years long. What are you waiting for? You got to get going now. Okay? Now, today. So start posting your trade plan, and if it just freaks you out, like you're just totally not ready, this is your first, year in trading Forex, then at least review other people and give them feedback. Participate, right? Get involved. Yeah, and Marina's like, yo, messy to the extreme. Yeah, well, yeah. Right? Why make money for them? I'm not sure what you mean. So anyways, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. But I don't know who you're. I don't get it, Michael. But anyways, maybe we'll see you tomorrow. So peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being on my team.